Hi, I'm Pete Rogers, and welcome to Between the Scenes. Have you ever listened to a popular song or saw a really great movie and thought to yourself, there's something behind that song, there's something about that movie that really makes me think differently about my life? Well, today we're going to explore one such movie, Star Wars III, Revenge of the Sith. I'm here today with a group of students who are part of a campus ministry group called Koinonia. Koinonia groups are small groups that meet every week to talk about issues of the day and what it's like to live as a Christian on a college campus. We're going to watch today's movie, Star Wars III, and look at some really important scenes and look at the illusions behind those scenes and what they can teach us about living on a college campus today, particularly in reference to things like anger, lust for power, greed, and frustration. We hope you come along for the ride. We're looking forward to a really good conversation. Thank you very much, and again, welcome to Between the Scenes. One of the things that I find most compelling about this movie, and I'd love to get your feedback on this, is I think it's just a great story about the struggle that happens in every human being, the struggle between giftedness and responsibility, between so-called good and so-called evil, and about how perspective changes when we start to do actions that might be destructive and or really harmful to people. So I just want to get your general impressions about the movie with regard to those kind of themes. What do you think?
I thought it was interesting that it wasn't so cut and dry, good and bad decisions. He doesn't simply want power to be powerful. At the very least, he says that he wants to save Padme, and that's a noble intention, and yet it gets corrupted along the way and ends up in such destruction. So just how good and evil, as Obi-Wan Kenobi says at one point, is a matter of choice and perception, and that it's not always cut and dry.
And one of the places in the movie where that's pretty clear, where he has to make a choice, is when he's faced with Count Dooku in that whole scene. What was it about that scene where Luke was forced to choose moving down one path as opposed to another?
Kill him now.
I shouldn't.
Do it.
I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way.
He cut off your arm. You wanted revenge.
We had the opportunity to choose between, his Jedi training and what he had brought up, and what he had learned was right and what was wrong, and instinct, what he wanted to do and the revenge that he wanted to seek. And ultimately, in the beginning, this is a foreshadowing of the path of decisions that he's going to make that are really the wrong way for him to go.
Yeah. And what ends up happening to Count Dooku?
He dies. Anakin kills him.
Anakin kills him.
And he even said afterwards, he says, I shouldn't have done that because it's not the Jedi way. But he wants revenge because Dooku cut off his arm in the previous movie. So his revenge got the best of him.
But I think that's something everyone's faced with. Everyone's brought up with certain morals and taught certain things, but when it comes down to it, you make your own decisions. So I think that kind of reflects what everyone goes through.
What kind of environment is Loyola College for making decisions like that? Do you think that it's generally a supportive environment for people to move down ways and paths that are healthy and life-giving, or is there a lot that is competing with that might lead people towards decisions that aren't necessarily the most healthy, or maybe even very destructive?
I feel like we have possibly a better balance than other schools because the Jesuit nature, I guess, ideals are prevalent on campus. At least I feel somewhat, the priests themselves, but just in classrooms, they're always trying to bring some Jesuit aspect into the teaching.
After he kills Dooku, he goes to the Jedi Council, and he's not included as a full member. He's not raised to the rank of master.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
And would it be fair to say he was really angry about that? I mean, he has an opportunity to learn and be with a community of support, and yet it seems like he's antagonistic towards it. What do y'all think about that?
I think it's just a great example of greed and pride because he thinks that he should have this position and this rank of master, but that's what he thinks, and that's maybe not what everyone else thinks or others that are more experienced. So it's just a really good example of that.
Why do you think he wasn't raised to the rank of master? He is, by far, the most talented guy on the block, so to speak. Everybody says that. No one questions that, and yet he's not raised to the rank of master. Why?
Talent doesn't always come with experience, and talent don't always go hand in hand. Like maybe he has the talent, but he has yet to have the experience that everyone else on the council has, and that's a large part of becoming a master.
What about Obi-Wan's love for Anakin? Because he was betrayed in lots of ways and continued to love him, and yet had to fight him.
Goodbye, old friend.
Then you're my enemy.
I will do what I must.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that would be like. Has that ever happened in your life in a much more, normal scale?
I don't routinely have
lightsaber duels in lava on the quad. But seriously, I mean, there are times when we have friendships that we move away from each other in friendship. How do we approach those relationships with some balance and some compassion?
I think there's friends in your life that maybe you're friends with at a younger age, but as you grow up together and there's different situations you have to face and different, roads you would take, either if you take the same road or a different road, and you would have to maybe guide your friend down. If she would, for example, if you had a friend that was going down the wrong path and you wanted to bring her, to the right one, or whichever one you think is right, then you're definitely going to have to go at this forcefully, because to make someone realize that they're wrong, it's not an easy task. It may not always be happy and joyful. It's going to be sad.
I think the scene where Padme is choked and Anakin and Obi-Wan have a confrontation is really a critical scene in the film, and maybe the most crucial, because Anakin comes down, and what does Anakin confront? What does Obi-Wan confront Anakin with?
Let her go. You will not take her from me!
Your anger and your lust for power have already done that. Until now you have become the very thing you swore to destroy.
I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire.
Your new empire?
Well, he actually calls him out on some of the 7 deadly sins that we were talking about earlier. Anger, lust for pride, and fear. And he tells him that his inability to deal with these properly is the reason that he's losing Padme. And that it's not anything anyone else has done, but that it's his own fault.
Yeah, that's kind of a big blow for him, because he thought that Obi-Wan was trying to take Padme away from him, but then Obi-Wan just tells him that he's doing it to himself, and that's probably not something that he had thought before.
But Anakin doesn't believe him, does he?
No.
And I think that's another problem, that Anakin has his inability to realize his own downfall with his pride and his lust.
And the fear, I thought the fear was interesting. He talks about fear. What would Anakin be afraid of? He's the baddest guy on the block.
I think he's afraid of being vulnerable, as we were talking about before. Like, with Padme as a part of his life, that is a vulnerability for him, as strange as that sounds, but it is. So he's afraid of being like that. So that's probably why initially he tries to kill her.
They mentioned that early in the movie.
Darth Plagueis became so powerful, the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power.
So Anakin's now in that same position.
Yeah.
At first he was fearful of losing Padme, and then he gets caught up with his pride and his lust for power, and now he's controlling the Empire, and he loses the one thing that he started out wanting to save. And that realization hits him hard, as it should.
Yeah. I want to thank you all for being here, and we hope that the people who are watching this get as edified as we do in talking about this. Take care until next time. Bye.
Well, then you are lost! chosen one!